let's cut to it. Beyonce's going on tour. Renaissance World Tour is a thing. I am a supporter of you saving up and buying things that make you happy, even if they cost a little bit more than other people are willing to spend. Because what other people have in their pockets has nothing to do with you. Hey, rich friend. So Beyonce is going on tour and I'm excited, but I know what it feels like when you can't afford large expenses, like some nice tickets to a concert of your favorite artist. So in this video, we are going to be talking about how you can afford the things that are a little bit more expensive and you just want to buy because you want to be fancy. Expensive but worth it. As the bougie budgeter, I run a shame-free platform. This is all about learning how to afford the things that you like, that make you feel good, that make you get up in the morning, because we are not working. We're not working to not have anything. Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to my channel to get all of your weekly money tips. And I also have an email list, so you can join that and you get those money tips right to your inbox, right from me. So let's get into it. First, when we're talking about being able to afford something large scale, something expensive, like Beyonce tickets, like Taylor Swift tickets, like a vacation, because we all need one. The first thing that you want to start with, you gonna hate me when I say it. You're gonna hate me when I'm saying it, but you need to start with your budget. You need to start with understanding your roadmap, your foundation, and where you want to go. Understanding my basic principles. If you have not gotten the budgeting template, you can grab it here, okay? And it's going to walk you through, one, your income, how much money is coming into your bank account, your pockets; two, your expenses, what's going out and how much of it is going out, when is it going out, what you're saving for. So number three is your savings. Get that savings pot. That's where you're going to start saving for those bigger expenses and those laps of luxury, your travel, your Beyonce, and everything else in between. Last thing is your spending. And my favorite thing to say, as long as your bills are paid and your savings is stacked, it does not matter what you spend your money on. I'm so huge on that. And I think that the personal finance community has a lot of shame within it, and we teach, not we, because I don't, a lot of people teach based on shameful and scare tactics to get you on the straight and narrow. They're trying to tell you that you shouldn't want a Rolex, you shouldn't want to go to Beyonce, you need to be paying your bills. But listen, baby, my bills are paid, my savings is stacked. Now that we got the budget set, let's talk about the difference specifically on that second step, your expenses, your sinking funds versus your emergency fund. I mentioned this on the podcast. Before you start investing, what is your budget allocation? And that's when I talk about how much of your income should be going to each part of your budget. When it comes to your budgeting, you need to understand the difference between a sinking fund and your emergency fund. Let's start with your emergency fund. Your emergency fund should be made up of two of your budget allocations, your survival and your non-negotiables. So your survival are things like your rent, food, water, like groceries, not eating out, okay? All of the things that you need basically to not die. That's what I like to say, whatever. Your non-negotiables are the things that you need to thrive. So that's like your Wi-Fi, your transportation, gas. That goes into transportation too. But those are the things that, like, if you lost your main source of income, these are the things that you need to create a new source of income for you. So you take your survival and your non-negotiables, you mash them together, and that becomes how much you need to have a fully funded emergency fund. So whether you want 1 to 3 to 6 to 12 months saved for your emergency fund, that is what you're going to take into account as a healthy budget of, if I lose my main source of income, this is where I'm pulling things out of. Now, your sinking fund is, it can go under a lot of different names, like the Fuck It Fund. I love that name. You can also say your Freedom Fund or whatever you want to call it. But it's that money that when you don't want to do something and you want to be real bougie, you could just be like, yeah, fuck it, I'm using that. All in all, a sinking fund is a fund that is created to be spent. It's not really going into an asset. You're not really doing anything to make it more money. You're saving this money to spend it. And that's fine too. When it comes to your sinking funds, right, there are two trains of thought, two methods that you can do. You can either do a bucket method or you can do a big pot. When I first started budgeting, I was very big on that bucket method. I had like 3 different savings accounts, and this was before you could have one bank account like how Ally does the buckets. They did not do that back in the day. They probably started that like maybe a year or 2 ago. But when I started budgeting, it was like 5 years ago, and they didn't have that. So I had several different savings accounts, and I was throwing the money in there, and I'm like, okay, perfect. This one is for the vacation. This one's for this one's for that. And it kind of got too much. It got too much for me because I don't like to have more than one goal happening at once. And I was like, I'm a little overwhelmed by this. I'm a little overwhelmed. Instead of that, I opted away from the bucketing method, the bucket method, and I opted into the one bucket method. And shout out to my girl, Danny, one of the OGs in the personal finance game. She was the one who actually started talking about this concept that she also switched from doing buckets to specifically doing one pot. And one pot is, this is just my big pot of, call it a bucket fund, call it a whatever, just call it my big sinking fund. And whenever I want to like have an experience, that's the money that I'm pulling from. And it was a lot less overwhelming, and I didn't feel like I had money going into a bunch of different spaces because it was just all there. And I really loved that concept. I prefer that concept. Now, you can choose whichever concept makes the most sense to you. That's why I'm giving you both options. You can either do the bucket where you have a couple different goals, savings goals, and you want to save up to one, move it to the next one, save up to one, move it to the next one. Or you could just say, hey, this is how much money I'm throwing in every month for my fun, for my future self to have the best life ever. And that is what your fun or your giant sinking pot is going to look like. If you're going to use either one of these methods, when you're having your sinking fund, I like to make sure you break down your long-term savings versus your short-term savings. Most sinking funds are going to be short-term. You're not really meant to spend that in any more than a year, 2 years at the most. Any goals that you have set for yourself that is past like 3 to 5 years, that should be in an investment account, but that is another story for another day. We are specifically talking about how you want to afford these Beyonce tickets. You have your long-term, your short-term, and if you haven't been saving up for Beyonce for the last 2 years, that's fine. You're kind of behind. But you know, you can always make extra money, do a couple extra side hustles, side gigs, run an Instacart for once or twice, who cares? But this is how you're gonna do it in the future. And I love that. I love that for you, I love that for us, because we're rich friends and we're locked in. The thing I wanna talk about is what to do once you have enough money saved. Like, say you said, okay, I love you, Beyonce, but I don't think that I should spend more than $2,000 for a good seat, a good ticket to get the seat, pay the fees, and get me a shirt while when I'm at the concert. Because whenever I go to a concert, I gotta have a shirt. I'm leaving here with something. I'm leaving here with something. Once you have set that cap, like, I'm going to save $2,000 for this event. I'm going to save $3,500 for my next vacation. That's where you want to stop. You can take that, and then once you hit that goal, pivot. Either move those dollars into a new goal that you want to set for yourself, or move those dollars into somewhere that can grow a little bit more, like an investment account. And this is what it typically looks like, because the more that we grow, the more that we live and we experience life, we're going to want to buy something that's a little bit more expensive. You're going to want to splurge, and that's fine. I'm never going to be the person, in my professional opinion, just go ahead and buy those Beyonce tickets. In my professional financial opinion, just go buy the tickets. It's fine, because it's just a moment in time. And there is not one financial decision that you can't make it right back, that you can't fix in the long term. One Beyonce ticket is not going to financially ruin you. And if you do feel that way, if you do feel like buying the Beyonce tickets will financially ruin you, then let's do something different. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Let's do something else. I hope that this video was just as entertaining and thoughtful for you as it was for me. Let's take a quick step back, because I want to make sure that I let you know that every month I do a live workshop, and it is with my Young, Rich, and Responsible membership. You have two choices. You can either buy the workshops a la carte, so look and see what we're talking about for the month. If you like it, buy it for that month, or if not, you can opt in for the monthly, and you always get one live workshop every month for joining the monthly. I'm excited to see you on the inside, so let's talk about it later. I hope that these tips were like some helpful to you, and I'm going to reiterate it one more time before I get out of here. If you want to buy something expensive, that does not make you financially irresponsible. Okay? It's if you cannot afford your bills and like to live. But the only way to see Beyonce, the only way to experience life is to live and to be able to survive. So as long as your bills are paid and your savings is stacked, I don't care what you do with your money. And that is what it is. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.